Alright, good afternoon everybody. I'm making a video in response to a comment that I received from someone named Mason Molina in reference to a video that I made in reaction to a video made by my old friend Rabbi Asher Meza. The first thing this Mason Molina did was to question Rabbi Meza's smicha. The thing is, smicha today, it doesn't mean very much. And I don't think we should really make a big deal about this. If he has an honorary title, we call a Rav Manhig. I don't see what the big deal about it is. It doesn't really mean much. And the truth of the matter is, you have I'm not even really saying that so much to lift up Rabbi Meza, but the truth is, your average synagogue rabbi who has Yora Smicha, who was able to pass some bechinas on Taruvas and Basar B'cholav, really is lacking a lot of knowledge. I'm talking an orthodox rabbi. How many of them have ever finished Shas? How many of them have even ever finished the whole Tanakh? How many of them have finished the whole Shulchan Aruch? But they could give a drasha, and when someone comes to the Shaila, they know to call a Paisik, a Dayan, a Rav, who could give them a Psak. That's basically what you have. Meaning they know who to call. You know, when Rabbi Asher Feinstein used to give smicha, he would have his phone number on the back. People should know to give him a call, not to paskin on their own. But to get a private smicha, legally you could use the title rabbi. Does it give you any authority? Does it mean that you know anything? No. And we know that, there's the different levels of smicha, and then there's specialty smichas. But, you could ask the same question about Rabbi Yossi Mizrahi. And I know a lot of people, have issues with him also. But even a lot of our Gedolim didn't have officially smicha. Or they had to get it later in life just so they could testify in a court case or something. I think there's such a story of the Chavetz Chaim. What essentially smicha means, it's a heter hara. It's not smicha like it was in ancient times, the ancient ordination, but rather it's a license to minister. What does it really mean? When you can officiate at a wedding and sign a marriage license. That's what it means. It's not much more than that. And so he wants to use the title rabbi. I don't forget him that. And really, the same thing is with the Reform and the conservative rabbis. Whenever I see a Reformed conservative rabbi, I treat them with respect. I call them rabbi. It's an English word, Even Rabbi Asher Feinstein used to write like Reish Aleph Beis Yud Yud or something like that, rabbi. And you should treat people with respect, and that's it. So a friend of his, and I know the story, I know it, had just gotten smicha, and they were joking around, and he said, now that you have smicha, can you give me smicha? As a joke, this friend of his in Yerushalayim gave him smicha. You can use a title. There's nothing wrong. It doesn't make him any special type of person. We don't have, the rabbinate is not a priesthood. It's not, So you can use the term rabbi. What difference does it make? What does it hurt you that he calls himself rabbi? And so he has different opinions than you have, and he learns, maybe follows other rabbis and other people, and Gedolei Yisrael, and he came to a different conclusion than you came to. And so because of that, you're upset. And I think what the Jewish world has to realize, there's a limit to what it means, Kol Yisrael Arevim Zeh Lezeh. I know it's a big thing. All Jews are guarantors one for another, and it means a lot to Jewish people to think about this and to reflect on this. But the truth of the matter is, just calm down. He's not hurting you. He's not doing anything. If you don't like what he has to say, don't listen to him. And I say the same thing. I mean, I was upset when I mentioned Yossi Mizrahi, Rabbi Yossi Mizrahi. I don't mind to call him Rabbi. Some of his Talmidim, they made a big stink because a Rav in a shul made a decision as the Maradaser of the shul that he has the right to do, and the shul hired him. And they could fire him if they don't like him, but they don't. They won't fire him. They do like him. They're going to keep him. And a certain younger man is a rav of a shul, and he knows how to learn a little bit. And he decided to invite a guest. He has all kinds of guest speakers come there. And so he had a speaker who's a Catholic layperson. And they made such a big deal. Oh, you're bringing a missionary into the shul. How dare you do this? First of all, it wasn't in the shul. It was like in the social hall. They have like a little stage, and it wasn't in the. He wasn't giving a drasha by the Amud, by the bima. He was speaking in the social hall. It's more like almost like a JCC for that community. It's a very big shul. And that's the type of thing they do there, And they made such a big deal, and that's wrong. It's not the way that's not the way you operate in the world. You gotta, if you don't like something, just don't do it. Don't go. Nobody's forcing you to go. So if you don't like what Asher Meza is saying, so don't listen to Asher Meza. You don't like, the same thing. But certain people, they cannot forgive that there are different views in the world. What difference does it make to you that he has a different opinion about Geirus or about Sheva Mitzvahs B'nai Noach, and he's going to bring something from Chazal. He's not just Hefker. And yet, what's going on here? So, but he has a different view. Why does it hurt you if he has a different view? If you really don't like what he's saying, just don't listen. The same thing if, And the thing is, my opinion though is if you don't like what he's saying, that's who you should be listening to, because then you're going to learn more. You're going to learn more about yourself. You're going to be able to defend your own ideas. Develop a proper apologetic approach, and you're going to be successful. You're gonna grow and learn if you listen. I love to listen to other opinions. I love to listen to NPR, even though I'm, when I want to listen to who I agree with, I listen to Glenn Beck. I listen to Dennis Prager, because I agree with some things he says, and I disagree with other things he says. And that's a nice approach, And this is kind of the way we should live, is, you don't have to agree with everything. I mean, I know Asher Meza, where does he get a lot of his ideas from? Was from Dennis Prager and Joseph Telushkin. From their ideas. All right, it's not the standard what we do, but is it the worst thing in the world? Is it, don't have to agree with everyone and everything, and that's okay. And I think, and Asher Meza, he recognizes that he loves to talk to people who he disagrees with. He loves to engage in dialogue with no motive, just to talk and learning, talk in Torah, and grow together. If you don't like what he has to say, why don't you go on his radio show and have a dialogue with him, debate with him? He's not the only one who says like this. I mean, I'll point out certain things that he says is true. When someone comes and wants to be a ger, what do they do? What do the rabbis do today? They say, it's good enough to keep Sheva Mitzvahs B'nai Noach. Show me anywhere in Shulchan Aruch it says that when someone comes, they want to be a ger, you tell them it's good enough to keep Sheva Mitzvahs B'nai Noach. The Shulchan Aruch says just the opposite. You try to encourage them. You want to see if they're really sincere. You want to test them and see their sincerity. But you don't want to be too pushy against it, because you don't want to turn them away from the proper path, which is to convert, meaning that it's lechatchila, the better thing is to convert. If you can't handle converting, so you have the Sheva Mitzvahs. And that's what Asher Meza teaches. He says if you can't handle converting, if it's too hard for you, it's good enough to keep Sheva Mitzvahs, but it's better to convert. I don't see what's wrong with that. It's true. What he's saying is true. That's what Shulchan Aruch teaches, the Rambam teaches, the Gemara teaches. You don't have to convert, but it's better to convert. It's a bigger merit to convert than to not convert. But instead, people have this whole obsession. Does this person have a Jewish soul? And this and that. What kind of nonsense? I remember when I was younger, I thought these types of things. I was like, I think this one Rebbe, he's a Baal Ruach HaKodesh, and I'm going to ask him, does this person, he wants to be a ger, does he have a Yiddish neshama? Should I make him a ger? Should I bring him to Beis Din? And the Rebbe told me, he said, I can't say such a thing. All I can say is if he converts, it's a schus. But it's up to him. He has to make that decision, and I can't say whether or not he has a Yiddish neshama. It's the Rebbe, Baal Ruach HaKodesh, a lot of moifsim, a lot of stories with him. This is what he told me. A very rational, not a mystical answer. But people become so obsessed with the mystical. And I love the mystical. I'm a big fan of it. You have to recognize what it is. And the difference between Kabbalah and Halacha is one thing. The other thing is not everything that people call Kabbalah is Kabbalah. And we are bound to live according to Halacha. And just to say that this is Kabbalah, this and that, it doesn't make it so. That's one thing, and the other thing is, meaning show me where does it say in the Zohar. And I know Asher Meza, that's a problem I have with him. So he rejects the Zohar, he rejects the Ariya Kodesh. But I'm saying, if you're going to call something Kabbalah, show me where does it say in the Zohar, where does it say in the Ariya Kodesh? Oh, because one of the Lubavitcher Rebbe said it, that's Kabbalah, it's Chassidus. And even to say it's Chassidus, it's sometimes, all right, so they had this view and they had this view, and it's not, and not everything that they're saying is meant to be taken at face value. I don't think they intended to be taken at face value. Maybe they did, I don't know. And even if they did, so what? They're not the Sanhedrin. We don't have a Sanhedrin. Every Jew has to follow Chazal. You want to do more, you want to but generally when a Hasidic Rebbe tells somebody something, it's for them at that time what they need to hear. It's not, therefore this has become, this we have to put this in Shulchan Aruch now. And even if he happens to be a Rav or a Dayan or this and that, you have to learn how to learn. It's not so simple that we just, everything is what it is, and a rabbi said it and that's it. It's not really how these things work. I know that's how a lot of people have their approach to Yiddishkeit, but it ain't necessarily so. And it's the same thing with a Dayan, a Pesach. A lot of times what they're going to say is for that person. And all right, are you safe? Generally, but I mean, you see things, the way, like in Israel, the Rabbanut, they're going to say, well, we find this one line in this Shilas and Shuvas, Smelentos, that's the way we do things now. And no. Where did you come up with this? It's not just we found this in this Shilas and Shuvas, and a lot of times it's not even clear what they're saying. And even when it's clear, sometimes they're talking in a theoretical sense and not a practical sense. They're making a pilpul, they're not necessarily making a halachic pronouncement. And you find something like this, and this is where it says it, and that's it, and it becomes like it's canon law or something, and it's not how halacha works. Halacha means like halicha, it means to go, it's a movement, it's a path, it's a way. It's not cut and dry, black and white. And that's why we see so much variance within Orthodox halacha. I mean, there are certain limits, but there sometimes is an answer, and certain times halachic pronouncements are for the times that they were given it. Because they saw, and it might not necessarily be halacha, it just might be das Torah, it might be the opinion of it might be a halachic opinion, but doesn't mean that now therefore this and this is how orthodoxy became like it. They talk about this is what's normative now. This is what normative orthodoxy says. But the thing is that you had major Gedolei Yisrael who said differently, with all kinds of controversial issues, and it becomes like it's a witch hunt if you say, technically this person is not an apikoros just because they do this or that. They're not even a sinner. They're not over any deraisa or any derabanan. It's just a practice, something, a hanhaga that we have in our community, and it's good and it's pious. And personally, I'm all for that. I keep Chol Yisrael, I keep Pas Yisrael. Well, maybe I messed up with Pas Yisrael a few weeks ago. But you have to recognize what's what, because when you start to, say that something is a deraisa when it really isn't, people wind up like getting confused and throwing away the whole Yiddishkeit over it. this is the story of Adam and Chava, of how, Adam said, Hashem said, don't eat from the tree, don't even touch it. Now, if he would have said, don't eat from the tree, and I'm saying, don't touch it, this is my advice to you, it was a tehei. But then the snake pushed her against the tree, and she touched it, and she saw she didn't die, so she ate from it also. Again, that's the chiluk between Bal Tosef. We're not allowed to add to the Torah, and Leisasur, but we have to follow. We cannot deviate from a teaching. But Lo Sasur specifically means the teaching of the Sanhedrin of Chazal. With that being said, meaning when we recognize where something comes from, we're not adding to the Torah. But if we start to make, and we have to keep the Rabbanan. According to the Torah, we have to keep the Rabbanan. But it's not adding to the Torah by doing that. But if we try to add to the Torah, then we're in trouble. And I think that's so much what we see in our community today. I mean, I saw something interesting. I didn't read the whole study yet. But it was a question about religious observance and depression. They said if someone is really, truly religious, then the religious observance helps them overcome depression. But if they're not truly religious in their soul, but they're outwardly observant, it could cause problems psychologically. Interesting, because my friend, Father John Kowalczyk, he's an Orthodox Christian priest, and we're co-workers. I am actually a supervisor at work, even though he's the age of my parents. And Father Kowalczyk has been ministering to the mentally ill for 30 years, maybe more. 30, 35 years. This is in chaplaincy work. This has been, in addition to being a parish priest and being an adjunct professor in the seminary, most of his time is filled with prison ministry, and specifically ministering to the mentally ill. And he told me, and he's given lectures on the subject, that those who are mentally ill often have religious fixations, and if they can overcome those religious fixations, they will become spiritually healthy. That's his finding from his life experience as a chaplain to the mentally ill. Now, I'm not sure how this is connected, but I do see in our community these fixations, and it happens in political communities as well. I mean, people often say, to the left-wing media people, they said, you should send a bill to President Trump. He's very wealthy, and he's living in your head rent-free. And Asher Meza is not wealthy, but you could probably send him a bill as well as also. Why do you care so much what Asher Meza has to say? Why does it bother you? Why is it hurting you? If you think he's an apikoros, so don't listen to him. And that's it. Why do you care? And these types of fixations and obsessions thinking I'm going to be the one. I'm going to be the one to save the world. I'm going to be the one who's going to teach. I'm going to change the whole world. You know the story with Rabbi Asher Meza. He said when he was young, he thought he could fix the whole world. Then he got a little older. He said maybe he could fix his whole country. Then he got a little older. He said maybe he could just fix his whole city. And then as he got older, he said maybe he could just a little bit fix himself. And you know what he said? He said it's easier to finish the whole Shas than to change one midah, change one character trait. And, I finished Shas. It's not that hard. You could do it. Anybody who's listening to me can finish Shas. And you should. If you're Jewish, especially you're a Jewish man, you should finish the whole Talmud. Why not? What does it hurt you? Let's say you don't believe. You can pick up an art scroll. Maybe you're afraid that maybe you're gonna start believing. And then if you start believing, maybe you're gonna have to start keeping something. But the thing is, why are you afraid of that? That's the most wonderful thing there is. That's for someone who's not religious. And for someone who is religious, also the same thing. There's a little bit of that too. But people, I mean, the worst things that I remember in yeshiva, they're saying, "Oh, you're not really learning. If you're not really learning." No, there's Bekias and there's Ian. And what kind of Ian do you have if you don't have Bekias? I mean, I'm not going to name names. I don't need to speak Lashon Hara, but there's one yeshiva. It's very famous for their very, very deep Ian. And very prominent yeshiva, nice yeshiva, good boys come out of there, and they learn Musar, and I don't have any problems. But they're very deep Ian. And what are they accomplishing there? They don't know their right hand from their left hand. I was thinking about that today. Like it says, the children in Nineveh, how many children didn't know from the right hand from the left? And God should have mercy on them. And God should have mercy on the boys in this yeshiva too. So today I'm driving, and a little sign comes up that the right rear door is open. And time again, I was trying to fix that left rear door, and I didn't realize that way's right. I can finish shots. I don't know the difference between my right hand and my left hand. I'm still a little baby. I don't know anything. And that could also be part of it. People don't want to realize how little they know. You're going to finish the whole Shas, and it's going to be a humbling experience. You're going to cry like a little baby. I remember crying when I was saying the Hadron. It's a video, not video, but audio recording. I was speaking in Yiddish because I was at a Chassidish place in Williamsburg, and I was crying. Finished Shas Bavli for the first time, from one end to the other. I started again, and every day I'm learning 2 Blot Gemara now. I should be finished, another 2-3 years. Maybe I learn a little bit more some days. The first time it took me about 5 years from one end to the other. Because I realized, why am I learning only 1 Blot Gemara every day? The Daf Yomi was too slow for me. And it gets into your bones when you do that, and it transfigurates your life, and it humbles you. And people need to learn to be humbled. Why are you attacking somebody else? What do you gain from that? And that's why I try not to attack. Like I said, Yossi Mizrahi, he says good things. And he says some things I disagree with, and a lot of people disagree with. I don't know, but I don't believe in this being an extremist. You have to learn how to be able to talk to people where they are, who they are, find something good to share, show love. Like they say, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Be a mensch. This is what we're here for. Just learn and daven and do mitzvahs and grow and have relationship with the Kodesh Baruch Hu, relationship with the Almighty. Don't be belittling people. So he has his way and you have your way. And you can live in peace and you can talk about it. Why you talk to him? Why are you commenting on my video about Asher Meza? Asher Meza is an open book. Go talk to him. Go be on his radio show, on his YouTube channel. He'd love to talk to you. And who is he? What do you care what he says? But I'm just saying, I'm not saying, you have to, that he's any big deal, that, Asher Meza, somebody. He's just a regular guy who's a mavakesh. He's looking for the truth. He's searching to grow in Torah and Yiddishkeit. And he wants to help other people do that as well. He's not looking for power. He's not a cult leader. He doesn't, and the same thing. I'm not looking for Hasidim. I like to wear a golden bekasha, even though, I'm getting to certain, and pepper the hoisin, but I'm getting to a certain point where, like, I really have to wear white socks in the summer. Can I wear long pants? Maybe no socks, maybe Crocs. Once in a while I do that. I actually got long pepper the hoisin for that reason. That's not why I got it. I got it for work, but it became a michshel to me. But seriously, what are we doing here? I'm not looking for Hasidim. If someone, I have Hasidim. I want them to be rebbes for themselves and for other people too. I want them to find their own way. And I have, I have one bacher, as a shtickle aruv, a rebbe, he's a sheikhet, and still, and he's for years and years been asking me questions. And he still asks me questions, and sometimes the questions he asks me are like the easiest things in the world. He should know this already. He sat and learned in yeshiva for a few years. He got smicha, and he learned to be a sheikhet, and I think maybe also a sefer. And still, there's simple things he doesn't know. And can I tell you something? To be honest, I'm learning new things every day. I learn little things in diktuk. This year, I've probably learned more things in diktuk than I've learned in 15 years. And just how to read Hebrew. What's a kometz katan? What does it mean to have a pitala in letters that we're not taught about? And I didn't know what it meant. And I learned from, I think, was a non-Jewish inmate in the prison who knew a little Hebrew. And he taught me, what does it mean why is there a dot in the mem? It means that the mem is doubled, meaning it's in both syllables. And then one of the Balabatim in Shul, who's Israeli, so he pronounces a comments as like a Pasach. And he was learning Megillas Rus, and he is asking, how do I know? He knew there's such a thing as a Kametz Katan, but when is it a Kametz Katan? When is it not? And what does it mean? And like I never knew about this. I know by Hasidische, the Hungarian, the Galicianer, it's if it's a Kametz, like in the middle of a word, it's u. If it's at the end of the word, or it's before a shva, it's oh. Like how the literature pronounces the comments, oh. Or but and I asked someone who's a big Baal Tiktuk. He said you could theoretically, if you're always saying oh, you could make a comments katan oh. You could say kol. You don't have to say kol. But when you really learn it, so then you see, look at all these names in Tanakh, and then you look how they're transliterated to English, and why is there an O there? And you realize it's a Kametz Katan, and you're like, wow. So the thing is like, not every time the Kametz is at the end of the word or before a shva is it a Kametz Katan. It's only Kametz Katan if there is no there's no accent on that syllable. But again, so for example, you don't say, if you pronounce the comments like a pasach, like the Israelis do, you can't say uvshach b'cha, it's uvshoch b'cha, like in Kriya Shema, so things like that. So Baruch Shalom Shavrach Manas Hanas. And so you see, I learned something new also. And and I'm learning over the Shas again, and I realized I didn't really learn it the first time. But does it hurt to say it again and again, just to say the words, just to read the words, just to go through, so it's not the best learning. But according to my Zayda, the Chavas Yor, in his Sefer, the Makar Chaim, I love that Sefer. The Makar Chaim, I enjoy more than I enjoy the Chavas Yor. The Chavas Yor, I like the Zmiras and the Techinas and things in the back, and I like to learn the Tshuvas also. But the Makar Chaim, which was just reprinted, it's amazing. It's absolutely beautiful. It's almost al derech Hasidus. It's Zayga Hoibener limit. And so he says that you're Mekayim Talmud Torah, even Tersha Baal Peh, just by reading the words that you don't understand. And the thing is, do we really ever understand? We're gonna just keep trying, and we'll understand a little bit, but do we really ever get pshat? Keep trying. I'm saying even the simple pshat, I think people are missing a lot. Forget about Remez, Drush, and Sod, and this Drush, Remez, Sod. And sometimes they mistake the Drush and the Remez and the Sod for the pshat. It's also a problem. So Ben Shalom Shav Rachmanis Hanas. We should be able to get all of it, to get the pshat, to get the drush, to get the remez, get the sod, get everything. We should be able to grow and learn and daven and do mitzvahs and be erlich and not pick on each other. You know, Asher Meza, he's a ger. It's a mitzvah. You have to miss a ger. So, all right. I thank you for watching. God bless. Please like, share, and subscribe.